You're listening to Stimulus Tech Talk, a conversation-based podcast created by Stimulus Technologies that covers a range of topics related to business and technology.
Welcome to Stimulus Tech Talk. I am Sherry Lipp. I am Marketing Manager at Stimulus Technologies, and I'm here today with our Stimulus Technology CEO, Nathan Whittacre, and we are going to be talking about tech for small business growth. Hi, Nathan.
Hey, Sherry, and hello, everybody. Thanks for being here today.
So this is kind of a fun topic, I think, for, we talk a lot about teams and cybersecurity and stuff, but this is more for the smaller business. And so how do we define small business?
That's a tough question to ask because if you ask the Small Business Administration of the U.S. government, they define it as like, I don't know, I think it's under $100 million in sales, and it could be hundreds of employees. But I think for this discussion, let's say a company that's 10 or less employees, so call it a much smaller business. So that's kind of our discussion here, because I think the federal government's definition would be considered a large business for a lot of people listening to this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we are talking about people who, smaller business, maybe even a solo person who may not think about some of the things that we've talked about because they're so small. But, kind of starting out, what tools do you think do you maybe wish you had when you were starting your business, since it was kind of, the dawn of the technological age?
So funny story. So my very first business was my candy store in my house when I was 11 years old. And my parents had owned businesses before that, in the late 70s, early 1980s. And back then, the best technology that they had in their office was a 10-key adding machine and a typewriter, so the technology wasn't there. And so they taught me when I was young to keep track of inventory and my sales on these ledger papers, and I still have them. It's kind of, I should have dug them out of my box in the garage, but these old ledger papers that we keep track of inventory by hand. That was a lot for an 11-year-old to do, but it was not that long later. It was another 6 years later that we were starting up Stimulus Technologies. And the tools for small businesses were expensive at the time. We were an IT company, but a lot of these things like QuickBooks and these software packages were either pricey, or maybe we didn't have all the technology or the ability to use them. The internet was in its very nascent beginning, and so connecting out to the world was also expensive for us. So I wish I had a lot of these tools that we have now, because it would make things a lot easier. So, you think about, for solo practitioners today, there's so many things that you don't need an IT company for to help out with. A lot of these cloud systems, whether it's accounting software, your QuickBooks Online, or Xero, or some other accounting software, those are very inexpensive and they're scalable depending on the size of your company. File management tools, you really don't need a server anymore like you did even 10 years ago. Things like Dropbox or Google Drive or Microsoft 365 OneDrive. A lot of these tools allow you to collaborate with either yourself or with your team and share documents much easier. So there's just so many cloud tools out there that allow you to basically manage any side of your operation for either free or very low monthly cost.
Would you say in the past, when it comes to cost, was it that you had to buy like one software package and it was kind of a one size fits all, or they had a couple of different tiers and now you can actually scale it for your size?
Well, there's obviously a capital investment because, 20 years ago, you were always buying licenses, and these licenses could be expensive. Even something like Microsoft Office, if you bought a computer, it didn't necessarily come with Word and Excel and PowerPoint and Outlook, you would have to buy that, and it was $250 in addition to the price of the computer. So, now those tools are a monthly price, as inexpensive as, $10, $15 a month. And so it's easier to scale when you need that software. And then, a lot of, whether it's a CRM or your accounting system or whatever it may be, they might have a freemium option that you could start out for free with the software, and then as your team grows or you need more functionality, that you buy up. And so it just allows you to start using these tools and at a very low cost or free. And then as your company grows and you have profits coming in, that you can afford to buy them on a monthly basis, because it's a subscription model rather than having to spend thousands of dollars on pieces of software.
And what do you think are some of the most important tools maybe somebody just getting started with a business should have?
So one of the things that I really recommend to make yourself seem a legitimate business is you need to register a domain name. So if you're setting up, Stimulus Technologies, you buy a domain name, stimulustechnologies.com or stimulustech.com or something along those lines, like what we have. I would recommend staying away from running your company with a Gmail or Yahoo or some other free email service. Make yourself legitimate, and it's an inexpensive investment, $25 a year. You can get a domain name and then add on some email addresses. You can host it with Office 365 or Google, and you can use those apps to host your legitimate email. So that would be the first thing I would do as a company, is just get a legitimate domain, get an email address, and start using that rather than your free Gmail or Outlook.com or Yahoo or AOL. I know people still use your AOL address. So that would be the first thing. And then, your CPA will thank you if you have legitimate accounting software. So, there's lots of inexpensive accounting systems out there. QuickBooks Online is a very popular one. So, the accounting system, and then some other things, depending on what your business is like. If you're looking to do email marketing or, trying to generate clients using some type of CRM. I was at a meeting last night, and most of the people in this meeting were solo entrepreneurs. They're speakers. And I'm training and working towards keynote presentations and speaking, and I'm among these other speakers, and that's their business. Their only business is speaking. And they're using a CRM like Zoho is a great, sole entrepreneur CRM. HubSpot has a free version. There's definitely good contact relationship managers out there that you can get for an inexpensive price to start. And then as you grow, there might be some fees associated with it. Usually those systems, have a limit to the number of contacts you have in there before you have to start paying. And then, you want some security tools on your system. So, when you're signing up for the Google or Microsoft 365, make sure that you're adding on the advanced security features for your email and also backup system. So you're backing up your data. If you're using a cloud only system, so if all your data is in OneDrive or Google Drive, have a third party tool that's backing up that data, because that data can get corrupted even though it's in the cloud. And Microsoft or Google isn't necessarily providing backup services. So in that same group of people, somebody recently shared that they learned, 10 years ago, they had all their speaking engagements and all their presentations and all that on a hard drive, an external hard drive, and that got corrupted, and they lost like all their history. And so, even from a solo business, you have a lot of intellectual property you want to protect. So it's really important that you have some type of system that's protecting that. So just because you're small doesn't mean that, there's not protections you need to have in place. But a lot of these are available inexpensively, and you can do them yourself.
And do you think a solo sole proprietor should have like a separate system from personal for business, like a separate laptop? And is there security that's designed more for a business than you would use on a personal computer?
If you have like a family computer that your kids are using or other people are using, then I would say something separate. It's important to separate those personal uses, whether it's gaming or whatever it may be, from your business use. So definitely that, I would say, if you should have something that's primarily dedicated to your business operations. Again, you can go down and online at Dell or HP or Lenovo or Mac and buy a laptop for inexpensive, and I'd recommend using that. And I do recommend that whatever you're using for business, that you should get the professional version of Windows or Mac, because it does give you some tools that are important, like full drive encryption. We've talked about that on this podcast before, that making sure your data is secure, no matter what size of business you are. You certainly don't want to have um, your data getting lost or stolen. So having that full drive encryption is important, and that's only available with those professional versions of Windows. So making sure that you're getting Pro and not just Home. But yeah, I think a good separation, if you're using like family computer or something like that. Don't use that for just your business use also.
Yeah, and I imagine it's different if you're somebody who has customers as opposed to maybe somebody who's making a product and selling that B2B. But if you have customer information, obviously you're gonna need that protected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what tools do you think, for somebody who's trying to grow their business, what kind of technology do you think small business owners should be looking at?
I think, today, any digital marketing tools, things along the line of, as I mentioned before, a MailChimp or HubSpot or some type of CRM that allows you to do, digital marketing or marketing via email, and maybe combining it with other types of marketing. In stimulus, we do multi-channel marketing. We do our website, our emails, our webinar, this series with the podcast, and we do direct mail and the speaking engagements and webinars, keynote speaking, and all that information is kept in a CRM. And so I'd highly recommend getting a CRM set up. Again, if you're starting from scratch, maybe choose one that integrates with your website, so you can have those contact forms directly going into your CRM. Again, HubSpot or MailChimp will do that for you. And both of those are really inexpensive to start and will grow with you. There's other ones out there. I mentioned Soho as another option. So if you're looking to grow, and especially if there's any prospect that your team is going to grow. So if you're going to have a marketing manager like Sherry, or salespeople or other people involved, if it's just all in your Outlook or all on these wonderful sticky notes or things like that at your desk, it's not gonna it's gonna be difficult to communicate that information with other people. So getting it all in one place is a good start. And then you could do fun things like email broadcasts and take your leads through campaigns, drip marketing. There's a lot of great stuff out there that allow you to communicate and grow. I look at my wife. I'll give a little bit of plug for her. She runs a sole proprietorship and is a road race company, and she puts on these events. And over the years, she's built up a great list in her CRM, and that's how she keeps her business going, is through that CRM and constant contact with her people that have bought from her in the past or showed interest, and it's all integrated and it works great. So from a sole proprietorship, even if you're doing it all yourself, having that information in one place is a um, you know, great move for you to do.
And a lot of smaller businesses are probably they might be hiring freelancers and contractors more often. Is there technology that can kind of help manage that and also make sure that you're, staying secure with your data?
Sure. So there's some great tools and great sites out there. I'd recommend if you're a sole proprietorship and looking to freelance. What I really like about Upwork or Fiverr are two great websites, great systems to hire freelancers. I think from a security standpoint, we worry about payment, right? Are you going to pay somebody to do something and they don't deliver? And so using a system like Upwork or Fiverr is it goes into an escrow account, and then they're the intermediary to make sure that the work product is done. You're satisfied with it, and then on the other side, the freelancer isn't getting stiffed either. You're putting money into this escrow account before they start working to know that there's money there available for them once they complete the project. So that would be the first thing I'd say is use a reputable site to make that coordination and find these freelancers and look at product their reviews of their work product. um, and then don't share too much information. Make sure that there's always that question is like if you're having your website developed, do you just give them blank access to your site and your passwords? And I think it's much better if you're going to do that is set up alternative and restricted accounts for them. So let's say you're developing a WordPress website and somebody's going to help you with your SEO or to develop the site. Create them in a separate account on WordPress, give them the the rights to go in there and make changes. But then when they're done with the work, disable the account so that they can't go in there indefinitely and make those changes. So that's, use a reputable system, look at reviews, and then only give access to things that they absolutely need access to. We've seen it over the years that it happens too often that the web developer or this freelancer has done work in the past, but they hold like the ownership of the website or ownership of the email system, and then you're trying to do something 5 years down the road, and we come in and trying to help you and your company do that, and we're like, this is hosted by John Smith, and do you know John Smith? Oh, I haven't talked to him in 5 years, and then he's like now on a safari in Africa for the next 3 months, and he can't contact us. So make sure you retain ownership of all your intellectual property, your websites, your email accounts, all that. Make sure that you have and own the administrative rights to all that, and your domain, because that's your property. That's part of the value of your company, whether you're a sole proprietor, 10 employees, or thousands of employees. That your company, your branding, your website, that's all value that you want to protect.
Yes, definitely. And kind of one final question on this: where do you think AI is going to lead to help very small businesses, and can they use that as a tool as they're getting going?
Again, I'll go back to the speakers association that I belong to, all sole proprietors, and that's the big discussion for them is how AI is allowing them to be so much more productive. Whether it's helping you draft emails, a system like Grammarly, which integrates with Word and Outlook to be your editor of emails or administrative assistant that corrects your spelling and phrasing. So those are some great tools that integrate, that allow you to use AI to, better craft emails. There's definitely some AI virtual assistants out there that will, manage your calendar and ensure your tasks are getting done. Microsoft has a new one that's recently come out. I personally haven't tried it out yet, but it's something on my list to try out, which is the Copilot. So there are some great tools that are coming out from an AI that integrate with our normal workflow that allow us to be more productive. If you haven't tried out ChatGPT yet, highly recommended, because again, if you're writing drafts, or if you're writing any documents or communication, ChatGPT, and whatever AI tool that you use really is very helpful. Um, Maybe a little bit more along the lines when we talked in our podcast a while ago about it. If you're looking to multiply yourself, you can implement things like chatbots on your website that give customers some interaction as they're going to your website, self-service of information, and then once they get past a certain point, then it automatically integrates into your CRM or your management system. And those are also pretty inexpensive to implement. So AI, even for small business, is very useful. I don't think a sole proprietor is going to go out there and develop a multi-million-dollar, AI tool that's going to help them, build widgets. But we can use AI as small businesses or sole proprietors to multiply our efforts very easily with some of these cool new tools.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much for. Oh, and we do have a couple past podcasts on AI, so definitely check those out. There's one on content, one on AI for business. So people should definitely check those out. Especially there's a lot of interesting information out there that we just got. But thank you so much for your insights on this, Nathan.
Thanks, Sherry, and thanks everybody for joining. And hopefully in this podcast, as we're talking about, is things that help you grow your business. And if anybody's interested in learning more, we have our book that I go into a lot of this about how to use technology to make your system more productive. So the CEO's Digital Survival Guide, it has a lot more information in there, and you can check it out.
All right. Well, thank you, and thanks everybody.